Now, the Daily Graphic is reporting this morning. The first transitional meeting is today, and they will during the day will also launch or inaugurate the committee, and it's made up of both NPP and NDC representatives here, with Backben Mike Eronokwe and Eduardo Ajaho being advisors today, as is expected in the law. The various groupings mostly would the key sector ministers, finance, you would have the AG, or on the other side, the Minister for Presidential Affairs. Sometimes Chief of Staffs are mostly also included in the conversation.
Yeah.
So that's the list. If you see the NPP's list, Fremont Pare and Oseiche Mensah Bosu is given the title of Minister for Presidential Affairs.
He still is. He was never taken away from that position. He was never reshuffled from that.
Is it presidential or parliamentary?
Oh.
Yes, because those two are two different things, actually.
Do you think it might be a typo?
I saw that, but I was not sure whether, but the president...
Does anybody remember Oseiche Mensah Bosu being removed from the Ministry of Parliamentary Affairs?
But did that not come with him being a leader of the...
No. That appointment came after.
Okay.
Yes. So he was leader of the majority for some time.
So
then he was appointed Minister for Parliamentary Affairs.
Minister responsible for presidential affairs.
I think it might be a typo. Unless he was reshuffled without the public being informed.
Again, the president can just say that you are parliamentary, you don't require any other vetting, so I'm moving you to another ministry.
Yes, but he would announce it, would he not?
But the advisory...
Would he do it in secret?
Maybe this is an announcement.
The advisors to the team, the law requires that the Speaker of Parliament be part of it. But then the president also selects a person. And he settled on Michael Quay, because you mentioned Michael Quay. And then the president-elect also brings forth another person.
And he brought Dua
Ajaho. That's three. That's really interesting, the makeup of that advisory team.
No, because they are speakers. The expectation is that.
It makes sense. It makes sense. It also suggests that there is some communication in the background between the two sides on how to form these teams and who should be on them.
Which is what is mostly expected, because, see, this country will move on. It's not one of those periods where there is a coup d'etat, so we throw the country aside. And I'm even opposed to this attitude of removing everybody merely because, and I had difficulty with Akufo-Addo appointing public relations officers of institutions. I felt that was very low. So, but I don't expect Mahama to repeat it. I expect better really standards. I expect that some of these things are not done, so that 4 years you come and appoint a PR for a unit, then another 4 years you bring in another part. When some people have been doing that job for almost 20 years, the guy goes in there, is basically hanging in there.
Yeah.
And some of these people, when they come in, they are speaking as if they are speaking as foot soldiers, representing,
because they are in most soldiers. Of the cases they really don't know the job.
Yes,
because the real people who do, they've taken them to some other departments. They are serving. You
realize that suddenly when they are appointed to a role that was being done by someone else for 20 years, like you said, theirs seems to come with more perks. So there's a 4x4, then there's a government bungalow, and there's this and that, things that the person who held the position for decades before him never had.
True.
Right? And you come along and it comes with a certain authority. You don't even fall under the main organogram of the business. So you can't be disciplined by the HR because you didn't come through HR.
Because it's basically an extension
you report
of
directly to the president.
Political party's communications team.
It is ridiculous. Look, that's for that example of Owusu Bempah. President Akufo-Addo, honestly, if you had given him the chance, he would have appointed headmasters. He would have.
Anyway,
just anything to show loyalty to his people.
Okay. Now, Jenapo declared winner by EC. Okwe, Afriye, others to seek redress in court, and there are still some parliamentary problems across the country.
Oh yeah.
And apparently the place was touched. The Damongo
office.
Yes, and subsequently. The EC still declared the results. But I see sometimes people are not. I don't want to say not smart enough. But you would expect better understanding of some of the electoral systems. The human being is holding the entire booklet, which has every place and has all the results. And also documents. If you bend the building It has nothing to do
You've
with
done
it.
nothing. You've done nothing.
So see, and
Razi.
But that's why
you expect.
in 2024, it doesn't make sense that we're carrying the boxes along to the constituency level and then to the regional.
That's my point.
Do you get it?
That's my point.
No, but they do so because you can ask for a recount there.
Which is fair. So
Yeah.
what should happen? And by the way, a recount will only be asked for in a circumstance where there is doubt, right? So the process should be, if you ask me, the process should be that the pink sheets are moved, the pink sheets are collated. If because they were all signed by party reps at the polling station. So if the what is brought to the collation center is disputed for some reason, oh, that's not my guy's signature, or that's not the number we signed, then the boxes can be brought from wherever they are being stored for the counting to happen. That for me makes sense. But the idea that we are moving them all there, and if they haven't arrived, we can't start collating. That one there, I don't
Because
understand.
Raymond, you know, you can ask for a recount at the polling station level.
Yes.
You are entitled to 2. But the electoral officer
I
can
do the second
refuse
one,
the
he
second
can-
one.
yeah.
And that's where you can call for a recount at the constituency level.
Precisely.
So I don't believe that.
So it will
all the
even be
boxes
known
will
in
even be
advance.
useful.
No.
Uh-huh.
As for keeping the boxes, is the responsibility of the EC.
But why at the collation center?
Because that's when they are handing over to the returning officer. There's no other mode. And my problem is that mostly the EC does not make cars available. Do you know the people who should be the
that's a big
transportation?
issue.
After an election, it should be presiding officer, police officer, the agents,
Yes.
all in the same vehicle. With their seals on board and everything. No problem. Go into the collation center. When they go and hand over, everybody sees the results. It's the same thing. We move on with their lives. But sometimes you have a presiding officer looking for a taxi. Then somebody volunteers and say, "Me, it's my car. I don't want an NDC person in my car. So please, let you find your own car and join." Then becomes the other conversation. So these things can be resolved easily. It's not a big deal. But it's because of the tendency to steal. And let's not pretend people don't have those intentions.
And shouldn't we also have timelines? Because when you're done counting and you're supposed to transport the box to the collation center, you can arrive at whatever time. Nobody cares.
Okay, but
And if you are one of those places where you have to go use a boat to reach the actual collation center, and you finish the election very late, there's no boat available, you have to keep watch over these same ballot boxes till morning.
But you see, the
We
point
need
I'm
serious
making is that
reforms.
at the point where the pink sheets have been signed, the ballot box is much less relevant unless there have been 2 calls for a recount and the second has been rejected.
Correct.
If that has not happened, then those boxes will never be required at the collation center.
Yeah.
So it doesn't matter if someone puts it in their wheelbarrow and changes all the votes in
As
it.
in for the
It doesn't
purposes of
matter.
recount.
Yes. Do you understand? Because it will only come up for recount at the collation center if 2 requests have been made at the polling center and the second one has been rejected. That's the only time, Anamebwa. So the contents of the box and the amount of fuss that we put into guarding it and transporting it and how much time it takes for these boxes to arrive at the collation center and how it all affects the process is pointless. It's needless. And by now we should have designed solutions to this.
But the problem is not really the bus transportation. No. It's the guy bringing his data and the materials he used for the election. Indeed, if he has a transportation, those things are not conversations that will be repeated. But if he doesn't have transportation, it has nothing to do with whether he has boxes to travel with.
This is where technology comes in.
Yeah,
Because now it is only
alternatively.
documents you are transporting.
True.
It's only documents. So there should be a way of using technology to solve that problem. Anyway, let's move on.
All right, the Daily Guide newspaper's got this. Are you done with the graphic though?
Yeah, before I go, Mahama appeals for calm, condemns attacks on public property.
I think we can take a listen to him.
My brothers and sisters, I come before you tonight as your president-elect.
The president-elect reiterated his earlier message from his post-declaration speech, urging the youth not to channel their frustrations into criminal activities.
While it's unclear who is behind these attacks, I condemn them in no uncertain terms. These acts must cease immediately. As I said during my post-declaration speech, I urge the youth not to vent their frustration in criminal enterprise. Instead, they must channel their anger and frustration into the positive enterprise of resetting and rebuilding our beloved nation.
He urged President Kufuor and the security agencies to act decisively to address the ongoing acts of lawlessness.
Because state power is still in the hands of the present administration, I call on the President and the security agencies to act decisively to curb the ongoing acts of lawlessness immediately.
To God be the glory.
Is this one?
Earlier, John Mahama Walker.
All right. So that's those are excerpts of what the president-elect said last night, right? Mm-hmm. Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, Mama V.
Yeah, but he's called on the president and the security agencies to act, and I think they shouldn't have even we shouldn't have even gotten here where we have a president-elect calling on a sitting president and the security agencies simply to do their job. I don't think it's even at the presidency level. We still have a functioning police service, and they must just simply do their work. I know that sometimes it can be overwhelming, especially when
you're
you
on
hear
the streets checking whether people have licenses or everything connected to that.
Yeah, at this
But
point,
to pretend that you do not see the same crime happening in your area,
Yeah.
it's quite nonsensical. It's almost like the way they treated the Gamse thing. Almost
this
as if they are removed from their jobs merely
Yeah.
because
Suddenly
this sounds
there is a-
political.
yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
we shouldn't even be calling on the president or the president-elect. Police, you are still Ghana Police Service. You are not blue
and you
or
will
green.
be
You haven't
so,
changed.
Yeah.
So please do your work. Sometimes you may not know where the incident is happening, but once you get to hear it, please move and deal with the situation.
But you see, at least you pick intelligence, and I believe in your
Don't
intelligence.
we have national security?
Yes. But that's gone to sleep too. But anyway, we pick intelligence. The police picked better intelligence than the military when it came to Asama. So I'm not dismissing the competence of the police in this area.
Absolutely.
Except that I suspect there is this attitude, wait and see.
Wait and see
Because
what.
power is changing hands. You're not
That is-
sure.
that
If
is
you are seen
very
as cracking the
dangerous.
whip, you
That
may
is
equally
very
be.
dangerous.
I mean, that
So
is the
people can
thinking.
just break the
That
law.
is very dangerous. Look, you asked about national security. I know for a fact that national security played a very important role in providing the intelligence that led to the discussions that produced the decision of the vice president to concede. Okay, there were clear dangers that they envisaged, all right, and they advised on it, so they know, they are able to see, and in fact the dangers they perceived are the things we are seeing right
Then
now.
we should see that. At
Okay,
least.
so honestly,
somebody's taking charge.
yes, honestly nobody has an excuse. And look, now the conspiracy theories are flying all over the place. There are some who are suggesting that actually it is the sitting government that is influencing the security services not to act, just so that the incoming government and its followers will look bad. Then there's also the other side of things, which is what we've been talking about, that perhaps the police just are afraid of some reprisal once the incoming government, settle in, so they don't want to do anything to offend their followers. But look, at the heart of all of this is the cockroach audacity that these people have to wake up in the morning, bath, go to these places and cause mayhem. They are getting that audacity from somewhere. It's not what's it called? They are not self-starters. Some level of leadership is backing this. As for that, I'm convinced of it. Some level of leadership is backing this, and we really need to keep an eye on this, because the people who are behind it, those who are supporting it, they are not quiet about it either. You can see them in their Facebook posts and all of that. They are all calling for this kind of behavior. And to be perfectly honest, if this is a civilization, none of them should get away with it.